And Lori, you want to introduce our first speaker?
I do. It is a pleasure to announce that Miss Kalisha Abercrombie with Drop Zone is going to come and tell us a little bit about her experience as an entrepreneur. So without further ado, Kalisha, it's all yours.
Okay. So hi, everyone. I am Kalisha Abercrombie, and I am the owner of the Drop Zone. We are a drop-in childcare facility located on Cliffdale Road and Cliffdale Square. We offer drop-in services, which is to say that children can come and stay for up to 4 hours per visit. We offer after-school care and summer camp, workday camps for school agers when they are out of school. First Fridays, we have a late night where we stay open until 9 so parents can come and drop their children off and have a date night, some time for themselves.
This is my favorite picture of Kalisha, so I had to throw it in.
I think it's mine as well.
Yeah. It's good work if you can find it. Kalisha, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Sure, please.
By the way, everyone, this is Kent Hill, and I was going to do the intro, so that's why the slides kind of got out of context there, but that's okay, Lori. I'm the director for the Small Business Center, and I've known Kalisha for 4 years.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, or a little longer, maybe.
Maybe a little longer, because Kalisha attended, I don't know how many, I should have looked it up, but a lot of the free seminars that the Small Business Center offers. And she was just not just collecting information, she was plugging it all into this big picture. And her dream was to have this childcare center. And she just kept plugging away at it. And I think it's really important. Steve Jobs said that perseverance is what separates successful entrepreneurs from unsuccessful entrepreneurs. And she got the capital together and she did it. And we're going to find out how it's been going. But first of all, why did you want to start a drop-in childcare business?
Well, I'm a mom of 5 children, and when I was raising my children, I had a difficult time finding the right fit for as far as childcare providers for my family. There's a lot of questionable things going on, and at the time, I was working for the USDA as an administrator for the child and adult care facilities in the state of New Jersey at that time. And I saw a lot of things that I did not care for in facilities, but I did see a lot of things that I did like. And so as a mom, I decided that my children wouldn't go to daycare or stay with someone who was not a family member because of what I was seeing. And so I've always, from that time till very recently, I've always wanted to provide to other families what I so desperately needed when I was raising my family. And that was someone who was going to lovingly nurture and take care of my children in my absence.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. The energy there is just wonderful. And I'm not talking about the kids' energy, but just you and your whole team, just loving those kids. When did you actually start? I'm trying to remember, and everything's a blur, probably more so to you, but when did you actually start?
Well, I actually started from an organizational standpoint in 2017. I did not actually lease the current location until February of 2019. And then we did about 3 months of fit up, getting everything ready, and we had our grand opening May 25th of 2019. So almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
It seems like yesterday, some days seems like 30 others.
Yeah. The good news is you had a little bit of a runway to build up some momentum before COVID. Do you want to just mention how COVID affected you?
Yeah, COVID was very interesting. At the onset, I think our business experienced what many businesses experience, which was like almost a sudden stop right around March 17. I remember it very well. I think initially we all thought it was going to be a week or two. And so we were kind of hanging out, waiting for folks to call or show up. And everybody was staying in, according to the mandates that the governor had handed down at that point. So we were at a pretty much a standstill for the first couple of weeks. Then when everybody started to surface a little bit, we had to transition a little bit and start providing virtual workday camp for children to go back to school. So those parents who did not have the option of working at home could have supervision for their children while their children had school. So they would bring their laptops and they would come into the space, and I had probably 20 something children overall. So we did that for the entire school year during COVID. So that sustained us actually, because there was a lot of fear around bringing children out to childcare facilities. So it was a saving grace, that little pivot. Yeah.
Yeah. Please refresh my memory, because I know we talked about it and I'm not sure which way we went and what happened. Please forgive me. But the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, during COVID and the Paycheck Protection, did you participate in those? I can't remember.
I did. I participated for the first two rounds, and we were minimally funded initially, but we did get some funding the first time around. I applied again when the second round opened up, and we were able to be funded as well. And we've been forgiven for both, so that's been a huge blessing as well. It was awesome. It helped us to to keep our staff in place. I did not have to let anyone go during that time. So that was a blessing for us and for our team as well.
Thinking back, and just so it's a good reference point and lesson for some of the people who are considering going into business, any business. But what was the most difficult part of the startup for you?
The most difficult part, honestly, in retrospect, was just starting, getting out of my own way, getting out of my head. I had a lot of fear and a lot of self-doubt around this new adventure, but I just decided, I just jumped one day. And when I did that, all the preparation that was provided to me through the business center and one-on-one with you and so many others, provided the foundation that I needed to go forward. So I'm so glad that I did that.
Yeah, the jump is one thing, but the preparation, I think, really really improves your odds for the jump. But now looking back, what is it you wish you would have known when you started that you have learned? School of Hard Knocks or whatever.
Well, I did a lot of preparation. I always feel like I could have prepared more. I think the biggest issue in my situation is taking off this, not really taking it off, but I'm an educator. So I came into the business as an educator, right? Loving children and wanting to use every opportunity to potentially teach them something. Mm-hmm. But I was running a business at the same time. So that was the trick for me, is being, putting on that entrepreneurial hat, being a business person, all the aspects of the day in and day out operations. Those are the things that I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention to and been a little bit more aware of.
Yeah, because I know early on you were juggling so many things and, focusing on the kids and the parents, and your staff, and then trying to fit bookkeeping and running the business and everything else into the spare time,
Yes.
which there wasn't any that I recall. What would you say has been your biggest challenge overall? Other than, let's take COVID out of the equation, because hopefully that's a once in a lifetime event, I hope. But other than that, just in normal business stuff, what's been the biggest obstacle or challenge you faced?
Outside of transitioning from an educator to a business owner, I would say the biggest challenge was financing for me. I do not recommend for people to bootstrap their business. In preparing, we should prepare financially as well. I feel like I could have done better in that regard, but I've managed to do well in spite of that. So I would just say, to prepare financially, to have all your ducks in a row, so that you're going to have challenges. You're not going to get away from that. But if you have, if you know about systems and process, and you have to know your industry and everything about it. You got to know a little bit about everything that you're doing. Like all the positions that we have at the facility, it's incumbent upon me to know how to do everything. So I can teach, and I can drive the van, I can do the cleaning. So you just preparation, that's the thing. And making sure you have your finances and options for finances in order. I was fortunate. I had you, and I was resourceful. So
Yes.
with all the networking with other business owners, and getting advice from them, I lucked out. So I would not encourage someone to bootstrap, but I would not tell them to let that be a deterrent, because I did it in spite of not having all of that in perfect working order.
And the statistics show that, it's something like 90% or something of all businesses have to bootstrap for some period of time.
Yes.
But now you have enough financial history that you're in the zone, no pun intended, to be eligible for some of the SBA or other traditional lender and non-traditional lender loans. So you've now,
Yes.
bootstrapped your way into qualification for those loans. So
That's exactly
that's
right.
a pretty cool thing. Pretty cool thing. And yeah, yes, you are CEO, Chief Everything Officer. I know you've done it all. But what are could you share any plans for the future, what you see ahead? I don't want you to reveal any secrets, but
Okay.
I know you're looking ahead.
I am. We are looking ahead, and as you indicated, we are now in a position where we can look to secure some financing. So we are looking at a second location for the spring. So be on the lookout. Yeah, we've got to accommodate all the families that we have to say no to every day. So, yeah.
Wow. That is a
No
wonderful
room in the end.
to have. But it's amazing. You started off well, I thought, and then it's just continued despite the pandemic and everything. If you had it all to do over again, what would you do differently? You've touched on a couple things, but maybe there's something other than, have more money in hand when you start.
Yeah.
No more, but you never know it all.
That's true. if I had it to do all over again, I would have done it sooner. That's what I would say. Yeah, I should have done this probably 10 years ago. Yeah, so I've just kind of been waiting and waiting and waiting. And what you're always waiting for something. So you just got to prepare, trust yourself, and get out there and get it done.
But one great thing about the preparation is that, yes, you acquired the knowledge and the readiness, but that preparation somewhere, you've prepared, what you've put in, and it really helps build confidence.
It does.
Because, from the first conversations we had until you opened, the changes were pretty visible. You were just gaining knowledge and you just kept focused on moving forward towards your goal. And I really admire you because you just stuck with it and you had laser-like focus and you worked really hard.
Thank you, Kent. I did. And I would tell anybody to do the same thing, just to believe. If you have something, a vision inside you, it's there for a reason, to get out there and pursue it.
Yeah. Do you have any great words of wisdom other than just do it, like you just said, but anything else you want to share with anyone who's contemplating starting a business or has started a business and maybe they've hit that kind of plateau where, I'm not so sure, they're starting to doubt themselves, they're tired.
Oh yeah.
But
what I tell everybody is I have a particular friend in mind who is much like the individual you're describing. I would just say you have to trust, that voice inside, and you have to keep your why in front of you. I have those days just like everybody else. And when I do, I just think about some of the 23 grandchildren that I have, because they are my why. They are the reason why I'm doing this, Other women like myself who was raising children, women who are raising families by themselves, two parent families who are raising children. I would just say you have to know why you're doing it, because on those days when you get tired, when you're aggravated, when you're frustrated, because you will be many days, you have to plug into that source. This is why I'm doing this. This is it. I have to do this because such and such is counting on me. I need to do this. So you got to keep that why right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of
families. I wrote my why in lipstick on the mirror in my bathroom because, of course, I'm there. I go to the bathroom every morning. So with that right there in front of me, that was my driving force, because there's so many obstacles and challenges that are going to come. They are going to make you better. They're going to prepare you for tomorrow. You're going to be better because of the challenges, but you just remember why you're doing it, and you'll get it done. Promise.
Yeah, I think that is terrific. And of course, Simon Sinek made the bestseller list with a book, Start With Why, about starting a business. And everybody has their own personal why. Yes. But if I have observed, and I know personally, that if my why is only about making money, money's just not enough for most people.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take money out of the equation.
We have to have some greater gratification, psychic income, to make it worthwhile.
That's right.
Because from a money standpoint, it doesn't seem like it's worth it. But really appreciate this. I think I have. I think Dean Burns said we're going to hold all the questions until the very end after Jeremy's had a chance to talk. So I'm going to skip through this real quick and just say thank you, Kalisha. And, here's just a very subtle plug for the Drop Zone. It's right here off of Cliffdale Road. It's in what I call the United Nations of Restaurants. There's German food and let's see, Spanish, I think. I don't know. There's
Yes,
Um,
Indian.
all sorts of
Yeah.
things in there. Um, right off of Cliffdale, pretty convenient location. And opens 7 to 7 Monday through Friday, and then all sorts of special events and neat things and so forth. And
Thank you.
Now we have our next speaker, and we have Jeremy Norris with Broadslab Distillery. He's going to come and kind of give us an update about what's going on at the distillery and the barn, and tell us a little bit about what entrepreneurship has been like for you, Jeremy. So I'm going to turn it over to you. It's all yours.
Well, it keeps things interesting for sure. Things in our industry are constantly changing. Each legislative year, they keep enacting different laws for the good, loosening up, on what we can sell, when, how. So we've been presented with some more opportunities, and kind of what we do is a kind of a diverse business, because we've got the farming side that we produce the grains, the raw products to make the value-added commodity, which is our spirits that we make. And then we have, the production side of things as far as manufacturing and packaging the final product. And also we have the tourism aspect of it, where we invite people to come in on the Fridays and Saturdays, and they participate in a distillery tour, but it's also kind of an agro-tourism tour, because, we go through our ag production side as well as our distillery production side. I actually take them on a tractor tram ride through the fields going to the distillery. And in 2017, we opened an event venue. We did that because things were a little bit slow. We're in a rural area. We're not a lot of population around here, and you've got to have a reason to come. We don't have a lot of traffic. So we did that for exposure. My theory was that, hey, if we got an event with 200 folks over there and 150 of them have never heard of Broadslab, when they leave, they'll kind of know we're here and what we're about. That actually, when we did that business as far as the event venue, we were hoping, well, hey, maybe we'll have 2 events a month. Most weekends we have 2 events a weekend, sometimes 3, and we do stuff during the week. So that really took off and it's keeping us busy. And we're working on a new line right now. We're going into the bourbon and rye whiskey business. So putting in a rick house and that sort of thing. So things are constantly changing, almost a month-to-month basis around here. So what else do you want me to?
So Jeremy, will you tell us, and I have some students present, tell us what it's like to be an entrepreneur. You're the epitome of an entrepreneur. You've had many ups, downs. Tell us about your experience as an entrepreneur.
Well, I heard something in the last presentation that made a lot I could relate with a lot. You don't really do it all for the money. You've got to have the funding to keep the doors open and pay the bills and the insurance, and there's so many aspects of it, but you've got to have a passion. You've got to have a drive and want to, other than money. If you're going in it for the money, my theory is the money will come if you'll work hard enough and stay at it. I've also got another saying that I've got more time than I have money in most cases. So being patient and persistent and working at it, it'll come. Things will change. Everything's temporary. The hardships are temporary. You're going to go through trials, ups, downs. But there again, you always remember that if you do go through a hard time, that it's temporary. I always have a backup plan be able to diversify, change up. If something's not working, you need to be able to adapt and change on the fly, and get it corrected where it is working for you. And the rest of a lot of things if you'll put into work and don't make any real bad decisions, most of it will fall in place itself, if you'll just stay persistent at it. But it does take planning, and you don't need to make any real bad wrong moves. But I do it. I'll make mistakes, and I learn from my mistakes, and I'll correct them and move forward with it. But it is a constant challenge that keeps it interesting.
What would you say your biggest challenge has been?
The biggest challenge in our industry is, we're like I said, we're in a rural community, and creating a brand, creating a name that people recognize in an industry that's as big as the industry that we're in. Because a lot of the major players, they're big corporations with a lot of different brands in their portfolio, and they got full-time marketing staff, full-time attorneys. They're worldwide, they're nationwide. And us being small, trying to go in the same market, in the same stores, on the same shelves with them, you have to get really creative. And, because we can't compete with them financially, but we just have to be unique and different, to kind of stand out and tell our story and make people have a reason to pick up our product versus the competition's.
What does the future for Broadslab Distillery and the barn hold? Where do you see yourself next year this time, Jeremy?
I think we'll be introducing the bourbon this time next year, which is a totally different package than what we've traditionally had. It's a little more upscale. We've actually got awaiting the final patent. We've had a patent pending on an aging process. It's going to be really unique. There again, we had to come up with a way to be unique and different and put a spin on it. So I think we'll release that with a bang. We're actually kind of getting into I don't know what you would call it. Maybe it's not really Airbnb, but we're putting some properties here on the farm that people that rent the event venue can stay for the weekend or the night. We've got 2 different locations. One's a big house where, a whole family can stay. Then we've got a little small apartment we've made out of a old tobacco barn. It's pretty unique. So we keep kind of inching out and getting into different areas, and we're always working on the landscape, and we're always trying to create different activities. And that's one thing I would say in business. If you ever get satisfied with where you're at and you don't do any changes, that's not good. That's not healthy in my experience. And sometimes I wonder, is it ever going to stop? But I don't think it ever will. We're always changing. We're always rebuilding. We're always, trying to make things a little better, make things work a little smoother. So, and I've kind of come to the realization that's not going to change. That's as long as you're in business for yourself and entrepreneur, that's just part of the game.
So if you do you have anything else, any other tips, pointers that you would like to give, Jeremy?
If a person,
Jeremy, I just put something in the chat. Lou Mill Vineyards has a whole series of cabins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe you were already aware of it, but I thought that was pretty cool. So it's cool that you're doing it.
Yeah, I went out there and toured their place. They've got a real nice place, but that's kind of where we were going, because people ask us. I tell you, if you'll just listen to your customers and fulfill the needs and the wants that they want. That's kind of the direction you have to go. Because the event venue, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be in an event venue business, I'd have said there's no way. Had no interest in getting there or going there. But it was the people coming to me because of the location of it being kind of private and secluded and, you know, out in the country and quiet. They give me the idea and I heard it every weekend. And so finally I give in and said, I'm going to try it. Same thing with the accommodations. You know, that was the people, the customers' ideas. You know, we would like to stay. We would stay with you if you had somewhere to stay. So listen to your customers. Listen to the people you're selling to, and they'll lead you into, if you'll feel the need, then you'll be successful.
I agree, Jeremy. We really appreciate it. We've got some questions from a couple of students from 71st. I haven't gotten the questions yet. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask? We can't hear you.
Good afternoon. I have Mr. Raleigh Kane from 71st High School. Like to pose a question to the entrepreneurs.
So, just a quick question. So, you're going and explaining the business. If you can go and explain how you were able to structure it or get other people to know about it. I know that you had a location that was pretty went through, so people would at least know about it. But is there any alternative methods that you've used to spread out information about your business?
Yeah, so in this day and age, we've actually got a huge advantage called social media. It's free. And, you know, if you got to think back, rewind 20 years ago, we didn't have that tool. So advertising and promotion is very expensive, and it's sometimes not effective. So with social media platforms that we have today, and word of mouth, don't rule out the old fashioned word of mouth. People are the biggest, you know, I'll say, they're your biggest asset as far as getting the words out, their experience, you know, and talking with other people. But social media is huge. That's kind of what we rely on, social media and word of mouth.
Okay, thank you.
For your generation. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gilbert Vargas, and I'm here to ask a question for the drop zone. It was, how difficult was it for your brand and what they were accustomed to when you went virtual?
Well, the virtual, it really caught on quite well because children did not have the option to go to school in person at that time. So we were one of the only games in town in terms of providing supervision for children to do their virtual learning, you know, in a supervised setting. Yeah, a lot of families had a lot of difficulty making decisions around working. A lot of our families even had to decide who was going to stay at home, if the mom was going to continue working or if dad was going to stop working. So for us, it caught on fast. I honestly didn't have the space to accommodate the need for that service.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us participate in this great endeavors in business. This is a principal in business finance class, 9th grade through 12th grade, and we appreciate the time that you spent with us today.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to open it up for questions for the presenters. If you guys have any questions, feel free to chime in.
I have one. What's a lesson that you had to learn that you'd like to not have ever repeated again, or we wish you could have not had to experience it the hard way?
Who's the question for?
Both of you, if you'd like to answer it.
Okay. I'm gonna have to think on that one a minute. I'll say, I've got this saying, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't change anything, because the outcome, you don't, in my theory, you don't become the business person or person personally, unless you do go through those trials and do go through those mistakes. So without trials and mistakes and things that you wish you had never experienced, you got to take lemons and make lemonade out of it. So you need those as tools. If you use them as tools and learn from them, it'll actually make you a better business person. So I don't think that the negatives are all negative. You got to make positives out of them, if that makes any sense.
Cindy, I agree with Jeremy. For me, I'm in the industry where I work with people. I'm in the care for kiddo business. And that's a very, anybody who knows me knows that I love little people. And because I do that, my heartstrings, I had to learn early on how to control my heartstrings. At the same time, I tell people that my business, look outside looking in, it looks like a business, but inside outward, it's ministry for me. You know, caring for families and partnering with families to take care of their children, that's serious business for me. But you got to be very careful. Like Jeremy said, you learn different things. I've had to implement certain policies, and I've had to struggle with myself in terms of keeping those in place and maintaining boundaries. But it's been all good. All of them have taught me how to be a better person, a better business person, a better educator, you know, and a provider for the families.
And I like both of those answers. You have at least one group of very young to wannabe entrepreneurs in our audience. What piece of advice would you give to people with the ideas and they just don't know what if they should go for it or what they should do? What's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Cindy, I say I always encourage my grandchildren to try everything they think they want to try. The thing that fits, or the thing that they're passionate about, the thing that they'll do, no matter how early it is or how late it is or what it takes, that's the thing that they should pursue. That's what I tell my children. That's what I tell my grandchildren. Try everything. If you like it, do it again. You know what I mean? If you find a passion for it, then that's the thing you should pursue.
I would say my advice would be, if you're going to start a new endeavor, something you're interested in, something you're passionate about, look at it, figure out a way, how are you going to make it work? How's it going to work? Because if it's a great idea and you can't figure out the mechanism to make it work, then you won't be successful at it. You know, you got to figure out how to make it flow. Not only that, but figure out 3 more ways to make it. If the first way you figure it out, don't go with that, because everything, I've been in several different endeavors in my life, and I've planned every one of them out, and I kind of get a vision on how I think it should be. And the end result might be that 10 years down the road, but starting out, you're going to have to switch up. It's going to constantly change. You need to be ready, because whatever your business plan is and exactly how you plan it, it's not going to go that way. You're going to have to be ready to switch up and meet the challenges head on and take different routes. And you always need several different avenues to achieve that goal, the plan, the roadmap, you might say.
Fantastic, fantastic advice from both of you. Jeremy, Christina says that she really enjoyed hearing your story. She's pursuing a business in the tourism industry, and she definitely can relate to having to be unique, to stand out against everyone that's also pursuing the same industry. So any other questions? No questions for our speakers today?
I've got one.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna turn on the camera there. Okay, I'm Carl Miller, Department Chair for Colony. My question is do either one of you have a mentor, and how important has that mentor been for your success in the business?
Carl, I have two. Mr. Hill is one for obvious reasons. He's a fantastic human being and he's very knowledgeable in terms of business. And then I have one of my professors from school, Dr. Bennett. She's an educator. So from an industry perspective, I get a lot of feedback from her on, just different things in terms of education, how to stay on the cutting edge and in terms of different activities and projects and services that we provide. She helps me with that. And Kent has been just an all around, just everything, friend, mentor, just guiding me through business and through the highs and the lows and letting me know what to expect. You have to have some people in your corner who, not really to tell you what to do, but to just give you that different perspective so you can make informed decisions about what you're going to do in your business.
In my case, the industry we're in is it's not really as unique as it was when we started. When we started, there was one other distillery in the state. So there's not a lot of access to a mentor in our industry. But I did a lot of reading, a lot of research. But even outside of your industry that you're pursuing, if you'll go to somebody that's senior, that's been around for a long time in business, entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, and if you can get them to take the time to just discuss life in general, you will pick up little things, habits, the way they do things and the way they think, and they'll tell you experiences that they've had. And all of it relates somewhere down the line. It's business at the end of the day. And another word of advice is hang around with other entrepreneurs, people your age that are in business, and, talk about your experiences. And you can take a lot from one another and you can learn a lot from one another. And my wife, she gets a little aggravated because if I go on vacation or out to eat, or all I want to talk about is business. And she says, can't you talk about anything other than business? That's all I want to talk about, because you learn so much. So that's kind of where I get, you cannot do it by yourself. You need to take somebody that's already experienced it, that has the experience, and learn from them. You'll be more efficient and it'll be a whole lot less stressful and a whole lot less expensive.
I have a question. My question is I'm not sure if you already spoke on it, but funding for your business, how did you go about doing that? Funding for your building that you have for the business.
Okay. That's a good question. So to start with, I had some savings, not enough. I kind of went to the bank and got funding, all the funding that they would give me. Most of the time, in my experience, you're always underfunded. You got to figure out how to make it work with what you can access. that's the reality of how it is. There's not, in my experience now, I'm just telling you my personal experience. I've always felt that we start out underfunded. Every project we do, it would be nice to have a little bit more, not to be under so much stress, but that makes you creative. You got to get creative and figure out how to make your goal work on the funding that's available to you. And also diversification. In my case, I had another income stream we started in 2012. I went full-time in the distillery business and venue business in, July, made a year ago. So I'm just over a year being full-time in a business that I worked 9 years, because I don't quit your day job until you know your feet are on solid ground, or you've got the cash flow to maintain it. In our case, little unique business, a lot of upfront capital, so it took a while to get there. But just traditional. We started out with a little bit, borrowed a lot, and made it work.
Okay, for us, I was in the same position as Jeremy. I had very little savings. I did work up until probably a month before we opened that May. I did have a lot of equipment and toys and different things that I had accumulated over the years from teaching. So I had a lot of the inventory already. So that's how I did it. Very, very little savings. In retrospect, again, I wish I would have had more, but I just made it work until we got the doors open.
Okay, another question. Finding the right building. I know you said you're thinking about opening up a second location in the spring. How are you, let's see, because with my business, I'm thinking about later on in the future opening up a storefront. So funding for that specific building itself,
Okay.
how did you go about doing that, or how are you planning to do that for the second location?
So right now, I'm almost 3 years into the space that I'm in now. So I'm in a lot better shape than I was when I initially started. So I'm looking into getting a small loan to go to secure that location. The location that I'm looking at, it is more fit for the type of industry that I'm in than the building that I'm currently in. I had to do a lot of fit up to get it to where it is now. But the building that I'm looking at now, it's actually already a licensed facility. So that's going to make it a lot easier for us to transition into that building, and it's going to save us a lot of money, because I won't have to do everything from scratch like I did initially.
One other important point I want to underscore is that we'll also save Kalisha a lot of time, because that build out took 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful and it's a great facility, not huge. It still took 3 months, even though you were organized and well prepared, because you got to wait for inspectors and contractors, even though you guys did a whole lot yourself.
Yes.
One thing too is, if you pick a location, you got to pick a location that's in the best place for your key customers. And they have the best egress access and so forth, which in retrospect, you'd probably like a place that was a little easier to get in and out of than where you are now.
Exactly. Samaya, that I would definitely say that location is going to be key. I'm not sure what kind of storefront you are planning on opening, but yeah, you have to be like where I am on Cliffdale is very busy. It's about 3 lanes on each side going each way. and doesn't really fit that well when you're transporting children in and out of the space. You know, it's location wise, all the families love where it is, but the street traffic is unbelievable. So that's a challenge, and you know, and it's concerning. So you need to think about those things as well.
I'd like to add something. If you're looking at a new storefront, I'm sure you're gonna come up with a business plan and you'll have a projected cash flow. In my experience with projections, they're either under what you project or they're over what you project. And that's kind of the unknown. And my advice is go to the safe zone. Go with something that you know a cash flow out. You know, you can always grow. You can always move to a different location and grow with your business. But if you try to just like us in our business, we could have used a bigger facility, and we've added on to the facility in 2017. We had the option to add on, but if you get a space that don't cash flow out, you'll go out of business before you get started. Start small, grow big, and you can always grow as your cash flow increases or you get on safer ground.
Great advice from both of you. Guys, we've got a question in the chat. I see you do. We've got a couple of questions. So Athena wants to know, what was one of the hardest things you had to deal with when starting up, and how did that help you build a stronger business?
Okay, I guess I'll go. And when I got into our space, everything was supposedly good to go, but it was several months in. Actually, it was closer to a year. I was told that I needed to add a bathroom to our facility. It came out of nowhere, and I did not have plans to spend that additional money in a space that I was leasing at the time. So I had to make a decision, you know, and I had to go ahead and do it. So that was difficult because I didn't plan for that to happen. I thought that from a facility standpoint, everything was a go, that we were good, because we were there like almost a year when this came up. So yeah, that was very challenging and very costly, as you might know. So, but it worked out. Did I answer your question, Athena?
And how did the back room help your business get stronger?
How did it help us to get stronger?
Yeah.
Oh, it did help us to get stronger, because that one bathroom for all those little people, it was a little bit backed up. So it did provide a lot more convenience, you know? So yeah, it was good. And in retrospect, it worked out to be well. Yeah. And then when we're in compliance, that always helps.
You want me to answer the question now?
Sure, Jeremy.
Okay. In my experience, starting up and what you learn from, the most difficult thing, I guess that was the question, would be financing. You go to a lender with an idea, and you have to sell that idea. And you're working off, and if you're starting up from scratch, you're working off projections, the unknown. So you've got to convince that funder, lender, of your plan and that it's going to work. It's very, very difficult in the starting stages. That was probably the most difficult thing. You're going to do what, how, I don't know about this. And I'm just going to be honest. I got used to the word no a lot. we're not interested. It's not in our book of business. You know, our portfolio is good right now. Stay persistent. You'll find if you've got a good idea that'll work, you'll find what you're after. And what that does, you need those experiences to humble you, to make it challenging. And in the future, when you do get on your feet and you do have the finances and the record of your cash flow, it'll make you make wiser decisions, and you can be a little more picky and choosy about who you go to and the interest you pay and the deals. Make sure the deal works for you and you get the best bang for your buck. And without those prior experiences, you wouldn't know that. But that's one of the most difficult things. Is always boils down to the money.
We have another question from Mr. Miller. How much of your personal life and how many friendships have you had to give up to own and operate your business?
Lori, I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
So Mr. Miller wants to know how much of your personal life and how many friendships have you had to give up because you're the owner and operator of your business?
Well, for me, my family and friends were definitely pretty supportive. So they have been there, haven't lost any. So that's been good. I don't get to see them as much as I'd like because I'm very hands-on in my business. But yeah, it's definitely tough. You know, as an entrepreneur, lots of things are going on and you can't participate in those things because you have, you know, not only a business to run, but your customers are counting on you for certain things. So that's been the challenge. I'm very family oriented. So I definitely miss those connections and those bonds and spending time with my family and friends. Yeah.
I'm going to agree with Kalisha that you're not going to get to spend as much time with your family as if you were working a 40-hour-a-week job, because it's going to require more than that. In my case, it does. So, you know, I still see them. Most of the time they come to me, or it's late when I see them. But they do get to reap some of the benefits of me being self-employed. I can, if you know, I can take off when need be, and you know, we make it work. As far as friends, there again, I think I said it earlier in another question. If you got friends that are other entrepreneurs, they understand, they know. If you got friends that are not entrepreneurs, it may seem a little bit strange for them. Man, why don't you ever take off and go play golf with us, or that sort of thing? And one of my advice would be, if all possible, when it comes to employees, try not, if you got a best friend, don't hire your best friends to be employees. That usually does not work out well. And you can head a lot of those problems off by the choices you make, and just don't let, and that goes for family too. It's great for them to be involved, but just be real careful how and at what extent they get involved, because things come up and opinions are different, and you don't want to ruin a relationship over things like that. So you need to be real careful.
Can I throw something in? As a person, your friends will say, oh, you can hook me up, or, oh, now I can get your discounts, or, oh, I can whatever. And I teach my students here, and I say this to my people out there, your friends and family, want you to be successful. So I will jokingly say, oh no, I charge my friends double because I know you want me to be successful. But that will get them to not ask me for the discounts and the stuff that, because that's hard. Like people put you on the spot. Like I'd love to give everybody free food if I could, but then I don't have a business. So by kind of jokingly saying things back to them about, oh no, I'm going to charge you double for that, which we can't do legally, but for the liquor. But it's just making sure that people understand small business is hard and we need the support, and it does maybe cost a little more because we're trying to do better than the big boxes. So thank you.
I'd like to add something to that. That was a great point. And another thing that I see a lot is people have the misconception that we don't need it, we got plenty, and we won't miss it. And that is not the case. We have to be very, very frugal. We have to account for every dollar. And there's weeks and months I have and do come up short. So if I do have a good month or a good week, I need to save that and wait till, the COVID thing. We were talking about that earlier. Who knew we got shut down for 3 months straight? That was pretty rough. But they don't realize the hours and the debt and the obligation that we're under. So that's what I say. If your friends are entrepreneurs, they're a little more understanding.
That's true, Gary.
Well, fantastic advice from both of our entrepreneurs today. Do we have any other questions?
There's one in the chat from Marcus, wants to know, when getting a business loan, do you feel as if it's easier to get a loan from opening a business account and with a middle level bank like BB&T or a more popular bank like Bank of America? And how come, or would you just recommend a personal loan?
You want to go first, Kalisha?
Sure. I would say it's probably best to apply to the bank that you have a relationship with, be it whatever it is, if it's a small bank or a larger bank. If you already have a banking relationship with them, then it'll probably be a little bit easier to get the loan. I did not apply for a loan when I initially started my business, so I can't really speak to that. But now having been in business for almost a few years, we're in a better position. The bank knows, how we bank. They know our what we take in every month, so they have an overall picture of what we can do. So I would say, once you establish a business banking relationship with a specific bank, then stay there. I will say too, though, that it's always good to bank there personally as well. That doesn't hurt. Okay.
My answer would be, it's very, very difficult for that first initial startup loan. It's all about cash flow and service of loan. They want to know how you're going to pay it back. They really don't like projections. And in my experience, it takes a little more than good credit. They're not so much concerned with collateral. The most important thing is cash flow. If you could get started and prove and show cash flow, it'll be much, much easier to obtain a loan. If you are starting from scratch and you're going on projections, then I would say it'd be very normal. You will probably need somebody to back you up and sign for you or stand good for it. Because banks are really, really reluctant to go out on a limb. And it has a lot to do with the size of the loan also. And there's a lot of different factors. But and two, don't get discouraged if one lender tells you no. No does not mean no. It just means no there. You need to move to the next one. And if you stay persistent, you will be successful.
Fantastic advice. I really appreciate both of our speakers today. Fantastic job. We really enjoyed it. Jeremy has been a 1 million cups speaker in the past. Would love to come and have him come back at some time and update us on the housing and the things that he's implementing out at his event venue. We would love to have Kalisha come and talk to us at 1MC as well. You guys, it's been fantastic. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget, in the morning, we have Sam Castillo with the Rock Guns and Accessory that's going to come and talk to us for 1MC tomorrow. You guys have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Ken.
Yes, thank you.
Good meeting everybody.
Yes, it was, Jeremy. A pleasure having you. Thank you, Shelley. I know you're behind the scene. We don't get to see much out of Jeremy's wife. I hope to see her at 1MC, Jeremy.
I'll bring her next time.
All right, perfect.